thought that we've kind of heard everything from Meghan Markle's Netflix series. There's more content. We haven't heard it all. Meghan has shared a deleted scene that never made the cut, and we'll find out why from her series With Love from Meghan. Let's take
The illusion shattered. A single viral clip, raw, unpolished, and painfully real, has left Meghan Markle's PR machine scrambling. What was supposed to be another polished moment of Duchess-driven content has exploded into a media disaster. Not just for Meghan, but for Netflix too. The platform that once proudly inked a $100 million deal with the Sussexes is now reeling from internal backlash. Behind closed doors, insiders say executives are openly questioning whether Meghan and Harry were ever worth the investment. What was once seen as a royal media revolution is now looking more like a very expensive miscalculation.
I wonder why it didn't make the cut, but then so many other scenes managed to make the cut that were kind of just like that.
Yes, I noticed the flower scenes certainly did make the cut, but actually I thought it was quite an interesting tip. I've never thought about cutting pineapple in that way. You need a very sharp knife, but look, she's been castigated for it, of course. People saying, oh wow, it's just a home economics lesson with a very expensive price tag.
Now labeled Netflix's most humiliating misstep, insiders admit the backlash from the viral video has sparked serious discussions about scrapping the Sussex deal entirely. This isn't just celebrity drama, it's a documented crisis that's shaking both Meghan Markle's public image and Netflix's brand credibility. The clip? A raw, unscripted, brutally honest behind-the-scenes moment that blindsided everyone. No polish, no PR spin, just Meghan exposed. It exploded online, racking up millions of views in hours and igniting a firestorm of criticism. Meghan, sources say, went into full meltdown mode, demanding explanations, calling lawyers, preparing to fight back. But the real chaos? It was brewing inside Netflix, where executives were blindsided and scrambling. That $100 million deal is no longer a badge of honor. It's becoming a cautionary tale in corporate embarrassment.
This is difficult for me. Meghan and Harry, I find this, I feel like there's going to be a little bit of sick in my mouth as I try and describe this, because fresh from repeatedly telling us that they were escaping the United Kingdom because they wanted privacy, they hated the press, they hated everything to be involved in the intrusion in their lives, and then they had their little children.
So what exactly was in this now infamous video? According to numerous confirmed reports and crew accounts, the footage came from behind the scenes of one of Meghan and Harry's documentary-style projects under the Archewell Productions umbrella. In it, Meghan appears visibly annoyed, snapping at a production assistant and allegedly scolding a junior team member for not meeting what she called her standards. The clip also reportedly shows her questioning why she has to wait like everyone else, followed by an eye roll as someone calmly tries to explain a filming delay. It wasn't edited, it wasn't dramatized. This was raw and unfiltered. The footage was allegedly leaked by a former crew member who claimed they were fed up with the double standards. While Meghan's team has tried to dismiss the leak as out of context, major media outlets like Variety and Deadline have authenticated the clip using metadata and multiple eyewitnesses. Online, the reaction was swift and merciless. Hashtags like #BarMeghanExposed and Duchess Drama dominated Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram for more than 48 hours straight.
Someone complained that I was belittling you and I was taking the mick out of you, which of course I was doing with love and compassion.
I don't mind. Anyone can take the mickey out of me. I fully deserve it. So crack on, David.
Well, crack on indeed. Now, were you at the Derby?
I was indeed, yes.
Yes. How was that?
Thousands of users reshared the clip, many adding captions that painted Meghan as a classic Hollywood diva, entitled Demanding and Cold. The once carefully crafted persona of grace and empowerment is now being likened to that of a behind-the-scenes bully. But here's where the situation spirals for Netflix. According to insiders who spoke with The Hollywood Reporter and Business Insider, executives at the streaming giant were completely blindsided. Some were reportedly unaware the footage even existed, while others assumed any questionable behavior had been cut during post-production. The leak has now ignited a public relations nightmare that goes far beyond celebrity gossip.
Baden O'Brien, he won his 11th Derby. It was... But unfortunately, sadly, from a royal perspective, it used to be a sort of must-do on the Queen's calendar. She never missed the Derby unless for exceptional circumstances. But unfortunately, yesterday was a royal-free zone, which for the sort of well-being of the race is, it was part of the.
But the fallout didn't stop with online backlash. It sparked a full-scale internal investigation at Netflix. Board members reportedly called for urgent meetings just hours after the footage went viral. One executive, speaking off the record, revealed that the buzzword inside company walls is now liability. How did this slip through the cracks? Why wasn't stricter oversight in place for someone Netflix had invested tens of millions into? And most importantly, how did such a high-profile partner go unchecked during filming? These are the tough questions currently echoing through Netflix's executive offices.
The Derby, was an important part of the Queen's sort of summer calendar.
So why is that? Why did the King not attend?
Well, look, he's obviously managing his schedule. He likes racing, but not anything like his mother.
Right.
And I suppose he thinks, well, I'm going to be going 5 days to.
And while Netflix has remained publicly silent, many interpret the quiet as a sign of disarray rather than deliberate strategy. It didn't take long for Meghan Markle to react, but instead of calming the storm, her response raised more eyebrows. According to legal sources, Meghan's team quickly contacted Netflix, urging the company to take action and contain the damage. But here's where things get messy. Netflix didn't leak the footage, nor was it pulled from any official content they'd released. Despite that, Meghan allegedly blamed them for not safeguarding her image, sparking fresh tension behind the scenes.
We're never quite sure, but obviously his intention would be to try and be there for the 5 days of the Royal Ascot. But it was a sort of notable sort of admission, sort of missing person was the members of the royal family. So, but a great race. I always enjoy it, but it is a sporting institution that's in a bit of a sort of quandary as to how it sort of continues.
And with the backlash spiraling, tensions are at an all-time high. Meghan is demanding swift damage control, while Netflix, already reeling, appears to be pulling away. As one insider bluntly put it, this is the moment Netflix realized it had invested in a brand it can no longer control. What started as a PR mess is now morphing into a legal minefield. Meghan's legal team is reportedly combing through the contract, exploring whether Netflix's lack of response could be considered a breach, arguing her public image suffered while still tied to an active production deal. But Netflix isn't retreating without a fight.
The reason he would have tipped Lambourne like the soft ground. So well done to Piers. Sadly, I didn't. Mine finished second last, but there we go.
Well, I'll go to him for tips, not you.
Yeah, well, that's right. You could have. I'm glad you didn't get me on yesterday morning to give the listeners.
Behind closed doors, some sources claim Netflix's legal team is already preparing for tough decisions, either to renegotiate their deal with Meghan or cut ties entirely if the public backlash doesn't subside. Then came the data, and with it, the financial blow. According to figures from Parrot Analytics and MarketWatch, viewership and engagement with Meghan and Harry's content has plummeted by 17% since the viral clip dropped. To make matters worse, users across social media have begun sharing proof of canceled Netflix subscriptions, openly citing Meghan's behavior as the final straw.
At the moment, they are not helped probably by the twerking video and all the stuff that's going on around that. It was a weird decision to put that out. Okay, and the sort of recollection, the story that coming out now is all the fallout about when calling their daughter Lilibet. They originally said.
One viral tweet that racked up over 100,000 likes summed up the mood. I'm not paying to watch a millionaire mistreat staff and play royalty while claiming to reject it. Goodbye, Netflix. The platform's algorithm appears to have noticed the shift, too, pushing royal-themed content that completely sidelines Meghan and Harry. What was once Netflix's bold bet on a fresh media voice has become a costly misfire. According to internal projections, executives are now concerned that keeping ties with the couple might do more long-term damage to the company's image than any past content failure. The question now is simple. Will Netflix finally cut its losses?
Communications, they're pretty sure that it will end up in the wider domain. After the court case, he lost the court case, he goes and does another interview with the BBC and starts saying things like, well, I don't know how long my father's got to live and all this sort of stuff. So they are they would seem to be very isolated from the royal family. They're not.
Will Meghan double down with legal threats and PR spin, or has the tide finally turned beyond repair? In the next episode, we'll dive into how her Hollywood alliances are unraveling, how insiders at Spotify saw this coming, And what's subtle, signals are emerging from behind royal gates. This controversy isn't cooling off, it's only gaining momentum. As the fallout from the viral footage continues, one truth is undeniable. Meghan Markle's connection with the public has shifted. The polished image of a modern Duchess and do-gooder is now facing its biggest challenge yet.
His old friends. So he hasn't even got to sort of use some friends and get some counsel from many of his friends who sort of just got a bit exasperated with him. So I think it is a tough one. And we saw them going to Disneyland. That seemed to be well curated. There didn't seem to be any other members of the public while they were there. So they obviously...
What began as scattered criticism quickly spiraled into a full-blown reputational meltdown, one that even Meghan Markle's staunchest supporters struggled to justify. In a matter of days, she transformed from a symbol of rebellion to one of the most heavily scrutinized figures online. The public shift wasn't just swift, it was global, crossing social media platforms and mainstream news outlets alike. Opinions about Meghan had always been polarized. Some viewed her as a casualty of a cold royal machine, while others suspected strategic manipulation. But this time, the curtain was pulled back. Prominent media outlets didn't mince words. The Times ran a headline declaring Meghan's mask slips, while the Daily Mail framed the viral video as proof of someone who wanted the crown without the responsibility. Even The Guardian, typically sympathetic, called the footage deeply damaging to the image Meghan had spent years building. Online, the fallout was relentless. TikTok exploded with analysis. A series titled "When Meghan's Words Don't Match Her Actions" racked up 20 million views in under 3 days. Reddit forums, once restricted for being overly critical of the Duchess, reopened and gained thousands of new members, many of whom used receipts, not rumors, to make their case. But perhaps the most telling silence came from Hollywood. Close. Allies like Tyler Perry and Serena Williams said nothing. No high-profile names came to her defense. The entertainment industry, once eager to back Meghan as a modern-day icon, was suddenly hesitant. Deadline Hollywood reported that 2 major studios quietly shelved pre-development deals with Archewell Productions. One executive allegedly told staff, "The reputation risk outweighs the potential reward. Let's revisit in 6 months." Streaming competitors also started backing away. Insiders say Meghan's name is now quietly flagged as high volatility in deal discussions, a Hollywood kiss of death. Even Netflix is rumored to be demoting her future content to lower profile. Release slots with no homepage promotion or major marketing pushes. And here's the kicker: they were warned. Spotify already pulled the plug on a $20 million deal after just 1 season of the Archetypes podcast, citing lackluster performance. Executive Bill Simmons didn't hold back, later saying, "We got scammed." That alone should have raised red flags, but Netflix doubled down, betting on star power over substance. It didn't pay off. According to Forbes and Bloomberg, Meghan and Harry's Netflix content suffered a 60% drop in viewership by episode 3, an alarming trend Netflix chose to ignore. What was supposed to be a prestige partnership is now seen as a misstep of epic proportions. Meghan Markle, once celebrated for shaking up tradition, has become the warning label no studio wants to touch. And just when things couldn't spiral any further, her reaction only made it worse. The palace? Completely silent. No comment from King Charles, no statement from Prince William, not even a whisper from behind the royal gates. Yet, according to The Telegraph, insiders say King Charles privately called the shift in public opinion a quiet vindication the monarchy never asked for, but one it quietly welcomed.